Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ramos James. I'm an attorney with Ramos James Law, and I hope everybody had a great 4th of July. Today, we're going to be talking about settlements and lawsuits and what is better for any given case. And I do want to remind you that my firm only handles personal injury cases, so we're not going to be talking about settlements or lawsuits in the context of a criminal case or a family law case. We're only going to be discussing personal injury, so the chances are that this may not apply to a different type of case. So also want to remind you that we're not giving any legal advice with regard to your particular case. So you want to hire an attorney or at least consult with a personal injury attorney if you have an injury case. So let's get into it. What is a settlement and what is the benefit of it? So a settlement is actually an agreement between parties trying to resolve a dispute. So in a personal injury context, a settlement is not necessarily going to mean that the person who's at fault is admitting that they're at fault, but it is going to mean that the person that is claiming that they have an injury or damages, that they're trying to say, I'm going to accept this monetary amount that you're giving me and I'm not going to sue you, or if I have already sued you, then I'm going to put an end to that lawsuit. And why do I say if I have already sued you? A lot of people think that settlements happen before there's a lawsuit, and that is not necessarily true. Settlements can happen any time before there is a lawsuit filed, before the case goes into litigation, and they can actually also happen once there's already a lawsuit on file. In fact, a lot of settlements happen while the trial is actually pending and the jury's already deliberating. That's also happened in the past. So doesn't necessarily mean that it needs to happen before there's a lawsuit. Now, in most cases, most personal injury cases at least, the attorney is going to try in good faith to resolve a case through a settlement before filing a lawsuit. And there are a few things that you should know about lawsuits, and one of those things is that lawsuits are really expensive. They cost money to file. Conducting discovery is expensive. If you're going to have depositions, if you're going to have a videographer, all of that costs a lot of money, and that money ultimately is going to come out of the settlement proceeds or the judgment. So they're expensive. You should also know that one of the things that makes attorneys want to resolve a case before going into litigation is because lawsuits take a long time. Litigation takes a long time. It takes several months, sometimes years. And what that means is if you can put yourself in the shoes of a person who's been injured and they're in the hospital and then they receive medical treatment, they're not going to work, and several months without getting compensated for those injuries and their medical bills going into collections, that's sometimes doing them a disservice when you recommend that a lawsuit be filed and you don't try to resolve the case before there's a lawsuit. Then another thing that's important about lawsuits is that, if you go to trial, you're going to have a jury, and depending on the jurisdiction, you're going to have 6 people or you're going to have 12 people of your peers that are going to be presented with your case, and they're going to be asked to evaluate your case and to render a verdict on it. And, although attorneys are going to be given a chance to deselect those people they think may be biased against their client, they're not always successful in getting the right people to review the case, and that can result in an unfavorable outcome for a person. I've actually heard it say or compared, I guess, that jury trials are like going to Vegas, basically. So there's a lot of risk. There's no single attorney on earth that can guarantee an outcome, so that's also important. And then the other thing about lawsuits is that if it may very well be that the attorney does not feel like there's enough evidence to present your claim, and that's always going to be important to keep in mind. So we're going back to the attorneys trying to evaluate your case so that there can be a settlement, and a fair settlement, and that you don't have to file a lawsuit and go to court. So in doing that, the attorney is frequently going to be basing their decision of putting basically a cost of or a value to your case on either prior cases they've handled or prior verdicts in the county where the accident happened, or where the case would be pending or is pending. And they look at a lot of factors, and they come up with a sum that they think is fair, and they try to resolve it with the other side. And if there's no resolution, then you proceed and file a lawsuit, or you continue with your case and you go to trial. Now, the reason why I said that personal injury attorneys will try to resolve most cases before filing a lawsuit and not all cases is because, of course, with every rule there's an exception, and this is there are some exceptions in this case. And in some instances, you are as a personal injury attorney, you are going to be experienced in dealing with an insurance company or a defense firm, and you're going to know that they have certain tactics that are not going to allow them to make a fair offer or engage in good faith settlement negotiations before a lawsuit. So you know that if you have a certain insurance company, you're probably going to have to file a lawsuit. You're probably better off not wasting time and money by trying to negotiate in good faith. Another reason why is because sometimes you're going to have to get the court involved as soon as possible to help you preserve evidence. And an example I can give you of that is in a trucking case. So if you were hit by an 18-wheeler, 18-wheelers have engines, and they have black boxes, and those black boxes record data that is generally very important for your case, and it's going to have the speeds that this driver was traveling at, and it's going to have the distance before they started braking, and all of that stuff you're going to need. But if the company puts the truck back in service and the driver starts driving it, then the data is probably going to disappear, or it's going to be written over. So in those type of cases, you want a lawyer that's experienced in litigation, that's going to file a lawsuit as soon as possible and get the court to put an order to preserve that evidence so that your case is intact, and everything you need to get a favorable outcome is there. So in short, there is no better solution for settlement or lawsuit is really dependent upon a particular case. Every case is different, and I strongly advise you to consult with a personal injury attorney that is experienced in the type of case that you have, if you have one. And if you want to call us, we have free initial consultations. Ramos James Law, 512-537-3369, and you only pay when we win. Thank you.